Hey everybody, Bob Lazaro from All Things Leland. Thanks for joining us. We all know Brunswick County, sixth fastest growing county in the United States. The Wilmington Metro's seventh fastest growing metro in the United States. But there certainly are people who have needs, unsheltered residents who are in need of our help. And I'm pleased to have with us today Sally Learned, the Executive Director of the Brunswick Partnership for Housing. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's start at the very beginning. I mean, what kind of services do you provide to folks who may be unhoused or on the verge of being unhoused, to help them get through that, what would be a crisis?
Brunswick Partnership for Housing was formed, incorporated late in the fall of 2019 after a large community planning process to look at the needs of homeless folks in the county, the growing numbers, if there was a need for another nonprofit. And our organization really grew out of that planning process. So we started with a contract from Brunswick County
Mhm.
that helps support a centralized outreach program where we take calls, we do brief assessments with households and individuals, we make referrals to services, and we can also place individuals and families in emergency shelter through a network of motels across the county for 2 or 3 nights just
Okay,
to give them a break from their car or encampment or wherever they are. Allow them to reduce some of the trauma that comes with being homeless,
sure.
get a good, safe night's sleep. Those donations, that emergency shelter is supported almost strictly by community donations.
Okay.
We then had an opportunity in 2020 to purchase a facility owned by Dosher Hospital in Southport
Hmm.
on East 11th Street, and we remodeled it. We gutted it and remodeled it, have our offices in the front of that building, and have four separate apartment units in the building for families, homeless families with children. And they can stay with us for an average of 12 months
Okay.
without paying rent, and they work with us in intensive case management, where we work with families on their budgeting, saving money, cleaning up their credit, getting the services they need to be as stable as possible so that they can move out and move on with their lives.
And you've had some good news now, right? In terms of you've been able to obtain the property next door. So what will that result in?
Correct. We obtained a lot formerly owned by AT&T that's adjacent to our property, and we are now working with the city of Southport on the final zoning planning reviews for the construction of 7 workforce housing apartment units. So we're really excited about that project coming up. And then Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation of North Carolina has partnered with us. And last year we had a rapid rehousing program that provided first month's rent and security deposits for eligible households so that they could get into a rental unit. So many times people can afford the rent, but they can't afford the 3 times that amount that's needed for
Sure,
first month's rent and security deposits.
sure.
So we were able to move 23 households, covering 50 over 50 people into units within 3 months of receiving that money from Blue Cross Blue Shield. And we are looking forward to that partnership continuing next year. So what we've tried to do is build, knowing the needs around the unsheltered population, is really build a continuum of services that meets people where they are, where we can provide the maximum amount of services we can, even though they may be limited in resources at the time that we connect with them. I will even buy tents and sleeping bags if
Hmm.
somebody is in a situation where encamping is their only option. So we do what it takes.
Yes, ma'am. And I was going to say, as we've talked about four, we talked about 23 families, but you serve a lot more people than that. I mean, on the website, your website, saw a number about 500 families,
Yeah,
individuals have get help annually from your organization.
that's true. We have our outreach program is probably the biggest, the program that serves the most people. So, in the first 9 months of this year, we've served 196 households.
Okay.
And then we've also sheltered 200, I'm going to look here for a second, 259 people for 588 nights of shelter through the month of April for the
Okay.
first 9 months of our fiscal year. Those numbers are double what they were last year.
Okay.
And what we're seeing is a continued growth in families and individuals who are homeless in our county. And there are various dynamics behind that
Yes.
that are causing that.
I mean, we talk about family, so I mean, when you see folks come in, you have families with kids. I mean, you have some kids who are just surf couching, right, with friends because they may have been kicked out of their home or their parents lost their home and they're unsheltered on a permanent basis.
Correct. We see people living in all kinds of situations when they make contact with us. I've had a woman who's 7 months pregnant sleeping on a busted down air mattress in a shed with no utilities.
Mm,
People sleep in cars. They sleep in recreational vehicles that have no utilities. They encamp. They bounce between a car and a motel room. So a lot of our folks that are working can't get into a rental unit because we don't have adequate number of affordable rental units in the
right.
county. So they use their limited paychecks to pay for motel rooms as much as they can. And
Okay.
that takes all their money.
Sure.
So we work very closely too with the school system, with guidance counselors and the social workers who work with homeless school students, and they are averaging about 250 self-identified homeless students a year in Brunswick County.
Wow.
Now, that number's greater than that because there's a lot of folks that will not identify and report to the
Sure.
school system, even though
Sure.
they would get additional benefits and supports from that. But we're seeing, well, we'll always have a core population in the homeless that have mental health
Hmm.
or drug diagnoses untreated, that percentage is relatively small. Well, we're really seeing the growing edges of our homeless population in Brunswick County are single wage earner parents with
Okay.
children and elderly. Right
Wow.
now, 52% of the households in Brunswick County, according to the North Carolina Housing Coalition 2026 data report on Brunswick County, 52% are cannot afford rental housing based on their income.
Okay.
26% of the county are cost burdened.
Mm,
Um, it takes over a $27 an hour wage if you are a single wage earner household to afford a HUD fair market rent in this county, which is lower than what I call free market rents.
sure.
So it's jamming up our families where they're a single wage earner, maybe working in the health industry, tourism,
Sure.
restaurants, maybe working as a starter firefighter, starter school teacher. They are in this boat where they cannot afford the rental costs out there in our community right now. And so finding avenues and ways to build affordable housing in this community for our workforce is just very, very critical. We
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
have no homeless shelter in Brunswick County, and this is a surprise to so many folks who relocate in. But Brunswick County has no homeless shelter, which is why we use the motels to do
Sure.
some emergency sheltering. And developers are not required to put aside a percentage of their units in multifamily projects as affordable housing, which
Oh,
happens in a lot of
yes.
states and counties outside of
Yeah.
our area, but there is
Yeah.
no requirement for that in our area. So what happened during COVID, and it's really started back in COVID when people realized they could move to the coast and live and work from home at the
Right.
coast instead of someplace else, they did. And if you remember, COVID came on the heels of some hurricanes and tropical storms that took out housing stock.
Okay.
So we were already down in the numbers of available housing we had. Then COVID hit, and it started in this in-migration of a higher wealth group coming into Brunswick County. And the housing market geared to that, shifted to that for that development of higher end housing, higher cost
Mhm.
multifamily apartments. At the same time, folks that have been living and working in our community for generations found themselves getting squeezed by the COVID financial
Sure.
impacts. They lost jobs, they lost income, their credit tanked, and they have not been able to get out from under that. So even though they may be working now, they may still have poor credit or an eviction history that is keeping them locked out of housing in the community. So the county grew between 2019 and 2023 in a 4-year stretch at a rate that would normally have taken the county 7 years to do.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with the superintendent of Brunswick County Schools, and they're up against it. They're expecting 6,000 more students in the next 10 years. He expects the system to double, over the
Hmm.
next 20, and so they have their building issues that they need to resolve, and there's a bond on in November. But I mean, as these families come, as you point out, there are needs. I mean, the one thing that I have found in doing these interviews is that there's a lot of support organizations and partners. So I know that you all work with a number of partners in the community. Maybe you could talk a little bit about who they are and what they're doing to help you meet the needs of these families.
Sure. The work we do, we can't do alone because by the time a family or an individual hits a state where they're unsheltered, it's complex. There are multiple issues. So the first ring of our partners are our financial supporters, and they are critical for us. Individuals, churches, community organizations, foundations, the county. We could not do the work we do without their help to literally allow us to provide qualified staff and keep our doors open.
Yes.
That's important. The second piece are the agencies, both public and private, that we work with. So we collaborate continually with all of the other community serving organizations like Brunswick Family Assistance, Brunswick County Homeless Coalition, Street Reach, the counties, agencies, law enforcement. We really work closely together because usually all of us have probably encountered that family or individual at some level. We also work with Coastal Horizons for mental health services and Christian Recovery Centers, Inc.
Okay.
for those individuals who really are ready to take a journey of recovery.
Okay.
And also that gets them under roof and gets them housing at the same time. So we really try and work together holistically for folks.
Hmm.
I think one of the most frustrating things is not being able to provide a housing answer for people in our county.
Yeah.
And so our approach is if I can't get you under a roof, then the least I can do is make sure that all of the other issues you have going on, we're plugging those gaps and we're accessing resources for you. So that's where we really work with our county, with SNAP benefits, food
Sure.
banks, mental health entities, drug recovery programs. We do whatever with the school system, whatever we can do to help stabilize those families and individuals as much as possible.
I mean, as someone who spent most of my career in local government in New York, Virginia, and now living here, it is amazing to me how little local governments have to require a developer of a community to do anything in terms of affordable housing. I mean, it's literally you can ask, but the answer is either silence or I'm not going to do anything because the
Correct.
demand for market is pretty incredible, and so they have the ability to just chug on without any requirement whatsoever. And I that's one of the frustrations I hear from folks about how come we can't get this or do that. Well, the law in North Carolina is they're not required. You can't downzone a property. You can't require then provide affordable housing. You can't require them to do more open space than what's in your ordinance, et cetera. So it's very, very challenging. I was gonna now the first thing you said you talked about was your supporters, and I know you have an event coming up, and I thought perhaps you'd like to share some information about that. I will be sharing your website with the blog and the video, but perhaps you could talk about the event that's taking place down in Southport.
Be glad to. So, May 19th, it's a Tuesday evening. We will be on the dock at American Fish. Doors open at 5. Free, the ticket cost of $50 covers the wonderful music from Salty Dogs
Mhm.
and a great dinner and a beautiful environment out on the dock.
Okay,
Tickets can be purchased for this event by going on our website, www.brunswickpartnership.org, and clicking on the American Fish May 19th event, and you can order tickets directly online.
super.
The other event that we have coming up in the fall is our second standard event, and that is our Sleep Out Brunswick event.
Okay,
And in the fall, what we do is do a sleep out Brunswick where we invite people. We ask the question, where did you sleep last night?
okay,
And we ask them to join us by sleeping in their car or a tent, join us on site for a light dinner, a sleep out experience, and also to participate in a phenomenal poverty simulation
okay,
where people walk through what it takes a family in poverty to walk through to
okay.
begin to try and move their family to financial stability.
All right.
So that will be held the third weekend in October at Brunswick Community College,
Okay,
and information will go up on our site again probably in June for that
super.
event.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A long, long time ago, went camping and it poured and it wound up in the back of my Mercury Capri. And that was the most uncomfortable time that I've ever had sleeping anywhere in my life. So I can't imagine, doing that on a daily, nightly basis in all weather, hot and cold, to be able to do that and then perhaps go off to a job, et cetera. I appreciate your time. Thank you for all that you are doing. When you have the groundbreaking in Southport, please let us know. I'd hope to come down and be able to meet you all in person.
It will
So
be
thank you.
great. And just want to do a shout out to Leland, to your listeners in the Leland community, because we serve the entire county.
Yes.
And we have a significant population of clients that we serve in the Leland area, in your neck of the woods up there, along with down in the Charlotte area and the Supply, Southport, Oak Island area. We are continually looking for partners in our work. So if there are churches that are interested in walking through this journey with us, we would love to talk to you. And my access contact information is on our website. Encourage folks to call me. We are continually working with folks that are in encampments in the
Okay.
Leland area, sleeping in their cars in the Leland area,
Okay.
and would love to be able to partner with other organizations to help meet those needs.
Okay. Yes. So if you're listening and want to help or reading the blog and want to help, find Sally. Sally, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.